good morning, good day, and good evening. I'm, as always, your host, Rudy Robertson, and that right there, not intentional. It says free the BSD, but I think it's funnier just to kind of leave it like that right there. For anyone who's just listening, my water bottle placement is slightly blocking the whiteboard, and it's covering the BS of BSD. So, free the D. Free the D. Anyway, not the way I was gonna start this, but, yeah, we're here nonetheless. You probably tell already, it's solo episode, so enjoy the solo episode nonsense. I know people have been enjoying them, so, hey, I guess, we're doing another one. Speaking of doing another one, though, so, you know how in the, videos, there's been, that guitar back there? You can't really see it when I'm doing these, but every so often when I turn the chair, you can see the guitar. That guitar, I did buy with the intention of playing it. And back when I first bought it, I don't remember how long ago, maybe a year or so ago, maybe longer? I don't know. Anyway, back when I did first buy it, I actually was playing it. Not well, because I'd never actually... Well, okay. I had played guitar in high school in music class, but I'd never, properly sat down and, learned guitar. I was like, oh, I'm in class, I'm gonna do the class thing, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So I was like, you know what? I think I'd be watching a lot of videos from The Do at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a guitar. For anyone who doesn't know, The Do. Let me bring up the channel. Do we have an auto-playing video? No, we don't. Okay, there's a bunch of other random stuff now, but the stuff he's, most well-known for is, well, the Omegle playing guitar stuff and various other guitar-related videos. So watching a lot of his stuff at the time. I think it was already a couple of years old when I was watching it anyway. But I bought the guitar, played it for a while, then as tends to happen from time to time, I got bored, and then I stopped playing, and then it just sat there for a while. That's kind of how I've been with my Japanese study as well. That's another thing which I do need to sort of properly get back to and, actually, delve into and, properly start to learn again. But the other day I was like, you know what? I just randomly felt inspired to pick up the guitar and just start playing again. Just, I don't know why. Maybe I got recommended a video on YouTube, a short or something. I was like, oh yeah, I got a guitar, don't I? Maybe I should play that. Maybe I should do that. And then I started to do it. For anyone who wants some content to learn guitar, anyone who knows guitar is going to know exactly what I'm going to recommend. Look up Marty Music. Right now, I'm only back at part 2 of his series. I did go through his, beginner acoustic guitar series, whenever it was that I was first learning guitar. I think what happened last time is I got to the end of the beginner series and then didn't go and find, another follow-up thing from there. So I just kind of got bored, and maybe not bored, I kind of got distracted. I didn't sort of push myself to that, next step along the way. So I just stopped doing it at some point, and then here we are now talking about how I picked up the guitar again. It's fun though. I like the guitar. It's one of those things where I have no interest in monetizing it. Maybe I'll make a video at some point, post it on Twitter or something. But it's one of those things where it is just a hobby for the sake of having a hobby. And I think it's a good thing to have, right? Because if you're learning programming, yeah, maybe you're just doing programming as a hobby, but you have goals most likely, right? You're learning to program as a way to accomplish some task you have, whether it's writing a script or whether it's contributing to some project. Maybe you'd like to have a job sometime down the line. Maybe you want to make a game and release the game. So there's a clear end goal or clear thing that you are aiming at and clear thing that you're trying to work towards. But there's something nice about having a hobby where the hobby in itself, the action of the hobby, is the justification for the hobby, right? It's kind of like picking up I don't know, let's say that you have like a full-time job and you play weekend basketball, weekend baseball, weekend football, whatever it happens to be. Like, cricket's popular here because cricket's popular in Australia. I know people that just, they play footy on the weekend, AFL, not soccer, AFL. No people that play cricket, no people that play netball. And these are people who, like, they're never gonna, like, do anything with that. The act of the hobby, the act of doing the sport is the end goal of the hobby itself. And it's nice to, if you're doing a sport, it's nice to win a match. If you're playing guitar, it's nice to learn a song. But you're not really trying to take it anywhere. And I didn't really, like even gaming to some extent, there's still, like, a goal in many ways there, right? Like, the goal is to finish the game that you have, right? Right now I'm playing through the Trails series, talked about Trails many times. So it's like, I want to, obviously the game itself is fun, but it's like, I want to progress through the story and see where the story goes. But this is just the action, I guess. Maybe I'm not making any sense, right? Maybe I'm just rambling and no one has any idea what I'm saying right now and everyone's just stopped watching. But I hope that what I'm saying resonates with somebody. And if it doesn't, like, resonate as in you have something that you're currently doing like that in your life, I hope it sort of resonates as this idea where it's like, yeah, that is something I would like. I would like just a hobby that I can enjoy that doesn't really matter. And I think part of it is sort of looking at your hobbies in the same way you would have as a kid. And I don't know what people are doing now, right? Because, you hear about these 15-year-old entrepreneurs. Oh my God, they've used AI and they've produced something and they're making so much money and they haven't even finished high school yet. And, like, that's cool. Like, if that's what you want to do with your life, hey, go right ahead. But I remember when I was in high school, I remember when I was, like, even younger than that in primary school, there wasn't really an end goal to anything you were doing. There was no grand vision for, why am I getting better at football? Why am I getting better at dodgeball? Why am I even just playing video games? I think were different because when I was young, especially, I didn't get that many games. There wasn't really that goal of finishing the game and going on to the next game because, well, I would play the same game over and over again. I would play a game to the point where there realistically wasn't any content left in the game. I couldn't tell you how many hours I sunk into something like GTA San Andreas. The game's... How long is the game if you actually just want to, like, beat the game? How long to beat GTA SA? Okay, why didn't it bring up time to beat? Time to beat GTA SA. 30 hours for the main story, 70 to 82 for 100%. I didn't even 100% the game, but I would have probably put, like, just a good couple hundred hours in that game, not doing multiple playthroughs or anything like that, just being in the world. And I feel like a lot of people probably experience this with another game like Skyrim or playing Fallout, whether it be like 3, New Vegas, 4, whether like Cyberpunk maybe, where you're not really... You don't have a destination, you don't have a goal. And yeah, there's the quest objectives, and you'll get to them eventually. But what about that like cave over there? What about that building? Is there something in there? No, but why don't I go there? Why don't I go and like fill up every garage I have in GTA SA with all of the cars that I like and go and like modify them and do all this stuff? And the modifications aren't even like, there's not even that much modification to it, but just experience the game world. And that's a kind of thing where as you get older, it's really hard to find the thing that you feel like you can do that with, right? Because there's so many things you want to do, and like, I've got this job, and I've got these other things and commitments. I go meet people, I do this, I do that. I have, family commitment, various other things you want to do. So trying to sort of give yourself something where there's not a point to it, the point is the thing, gets harder and harder. And another one for me was RuneScape, right? Obviously, RuneScape has these goals, right? And I did have these, I want to get 99 fletching at some point. I want to get 99 fire making. Back then, nobody cared. Like, there were guides out there for RuneScape, but the level of optimization that exists today for the game, not even remotely a thing. I would do things in just entirely unoptimal ways because it was just the way I wanted to do it. And I'd be talking to people on probably Skype at the time. Yeah, probably would have been Skype. I never used TeamSpeak. Skype it would have been. Then Discord. No, I think Discord. I think I joined Discord after I quit RuneScape. Yeah, I reckon so. But like, I don't know. This was not the way I was going to start this. I I was going to just make like a little side tangent about the whole guitar thing, and then I start having like an existential crisis. Like, oh yeah, you're like 2 years away from 30. I am 28 right now, 29 next year, 30 the following year, so I'll be 30 in 2028. And I know the audience for this podcast, there's going to be there's definitely a lot of people who are considerably older than I am who are like, you're 30. Well, I was 30 25 years ago. Like, yeah, I get it. But I don't know. It is kind of weird that, you feel like just a few years ago, you were in high school. Just a few years ago, you were in university or college. But then you actually think about it. Then you actually look at how much time it's been. I graduated university 2022? 2023. I think 2022. Yeah, because it was like the tail end of... It was like when the COVID restrictions were sort of like starting to sort of fade out to some extent. They were still there, but not as restrictive as it was like during like the core of things. So 2022, 2020. Sorry, no, wait. Was it 2022? Yeah. No, wait. No, that's not right. No. I was 22. Yeah. Okay. So it was... No, actually, it wasn't tail end of COVID. It was the middle of COVID. No, I would have graduated 2020, 2021. Fuck, I'm forgetting my years now. Oh no, this is a problem. Yeah, so I graduated 6 years ago. What? What do you mean? Like, there's people that I still have in my head as like, oh yeah, I hung out with them, a couple of months ago. And I think about it like, no, I actually haven't seen you in 5 years. Some people even longer. I have friends. Like, I have friends who I'm still in contact with from high school, right? I have friends who I've known for 15 years, right? Like, I remember when I was 15. That wasn't that long ago in my head. In my head, I was 15, like, very, very recently. And now it's like, no, actually, that was quite a fucking while ago, wasn't it? Oh no. This might be the first time we're doing this on the podcast. I can assure you this won't be the last time we're doing it on the podcast. If I'm still doing this in another 10 years from now, as I'm approaching 40, I can assure you we're going to be having a very similar situation at that time. You know, we'll see how things go by then. Who knows? Anything could happen in the next 10 to 12 years. I'm definitely not gonna bank on exactly where I'll be. I think trying to set like I will be at this point at this specific stage of my life, like that's either going to be a really big driving factor for people, or it's going to be one of those things where you work hard for it and you get there and you're like, fuck, I'm not there. I think it's much better to like have these visions of I want to be at this place at some point in my life in like the next, 5 or so years, and then approach things from sort of the day to day. Like, especially if it's like a big goal, right? I want to reach X number of subs. I want to have this job. I want to get this promotion, whatever it happens to be in your life. Something like that can seem like it is really far away. And if you don't break it down on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, it can seem like it's a impossibly difficult job, a impossibly difficult position to reach, because there's so many steps along the way, and you haven't really considered how to actually get there, right? Like, considering it in the terms of building a program, if I tell you to build a word processor, what is a word processor? Like, where do you even start building a word processor? What makes up that kind of application? Obviously, you want some way to handle input. You want some way to render input. Let's say it's a rich text word editor, rich text word processor, where you want to go and have bold and italics and underlines, and maybe you want to have like media insertion, so videos and images. All of these are really complicated tasks, and if you just say, I want a word processor, that's not really a starting point, right? There's nowhere to really enter that problem from where you can actually start to address it. And I think it's the same way with anything in your life, where if you don't break down like the thing you need to do day to day, even just something basic like, I want to lose some weight. Okay, how do you lose weight? What do you do for that? What do I need to do every single day in pursuit of that goal? Do I need to cut down portion sizes? Do I need to work out more? If I'm going to work out more, is there maybe some additional things I can do alongside that? Am I getting enough sunlight? Should I maybe go outside to do my workouts rather than going on a treadmill? Should I go with people? Is this a way to socialize? Is this something I can do before other engagements I have? Should I do it after them? How do I fit it around other engagements? Do I move those engagements? Maybe I shift them a little bit later so I can do things in the morning, or maybe I prefer doing things like later in the day. These are things you got to think about and then sort of apply them on the day-to-day, because if you just think about it, as this giant thing, again, there's like no way to really approach that. I've spent 20 minutes just rambling. If anyone is still listening at this point, I'm genuinely... I have not said a word of tech besides free the BSD. I think the entire mentioning of tech has been mentioning the word programming and video games. I think that has actually been the entire thing so far. So, I mentioned Grand Theft Auto and RuneScape. So if anyone still happens to be listening, welcome! I'm always your host, Brody. We're not restarting from there. All of that's staying in. And let's talk about something that has been going on the past couple of days now. So, PS5 emulation. That kind of came out of nowhere. Like, we only just got to a point where PS4 emulation was... I wouldn't say great just yet, but I know a lot of people have been talking about Bloodborne emulation. When do we get to a point where Bloodborne was mostly playable? Is that now? Actually, I actually don't know the state of Shad PS4 at this point. So I assume this is... Wow. Okay. If I have the audio muted, if this is being emulated, like that's... I don't know if it's perfect, right? Maybe there's some render artifacts, weird lighting stuff, something that breaks, but you're not seeing it right now. You're on the, why are you not seeing it? That's really weird. You're seeing, oh, why weren't you seeing it? That's a very good question. Do I have a second browser window open? No, I don't. I don't know why that happened. KD bug? Okay, whatever. Now you can see it. This is perfect. Well, near perfect. Maybe there's some audio, maybe there's some performance stuff. I don't know. It looks pretty good. So, PS4 emulation was already like a thing that existed. Then out of nowhere, a big part of that's probably because of the whole PS5 no discs thing. PS5 emulation kind of just popped up. Now, it is very, very early days, right? But the project was open sourced. Now, of course, it's using Claude. Of course, everything's using Claude at this point. If you're freaking out about like a project having Claude in the codebase, frankly, the boat has sailed, right? Like, if your personal project, you don't want to have it there. If you just don't want to use projects that have any Claude use, hey, you do you. But, like, that ship sailed. That ship has sailed so long ago, that I don't even know what to say. Regardless, though, this is super cool. The fact that even though it is, like, not great yet, right? Like, it's still very, very early days. We didn't have this, like, 2 weeks ago. Like, at all. Wait, hold up. No, wait, what?
In this video.
Wait, this is not real. Demon's Souls remake running at 30 FPS in a PS... No way that's real. No, wait, hold up. I just saw this now. Is that real? Is this bullshit? This is like 2 days ago. What? Wait. Wait, no shot, it's already... Like, yeah, it's far from perfect. Yeah, it was, like, not functional a week ago. The fuck? What the fuck is going on? Okay, apparently PS5 emulation is gonna get really good really quickly. Now, maybe Demon's Souls is just like, you know, low-hanging fruit. It's just an easy game to get emulated. I don't know. I've not fully looked into it. But if this is the rate that games are going to start working, we might just have PS5, like, full working PS5 emulation in, like, a year from now. What we don't have fully working just yet, and this is because it is it's a very hard problem, PS3 emulation. So here we have RPCS3. 75% of all PlayStation 3 games are now playable on PC. RPCS3 continues to be improved with new features, fixes, and optimizations, bringing it ever closer to preserving the entire PS3 library. Now, okay, actually, we'll get to that one. Let us actually go check RPCS3 game compatibility list. I've not looked at it in a long time. Let us find something that I care about playing. Let's say Drakengard. How are we for Drakengard? Drakengard 3 is playable. God of War 3. In-game. So that one's still a little bit buggy. In-game is games that either can't be finished, have serious glitches, or have insufficient performance. What's another one? Final... I don't care about this one, but it's a good example. 13. 13.2 is playable. Lightning Returns Playview, I guess, is one of the demos. 13 is is in-game. Trial is in-game. 13.2 is... Okay, so most of 13, except for the demo of 13.2 and the Playview version of Lightning Returns, are still in-game. Okay, but those are playable. Assassin... How do you spell Assassin's... How do you spell Assassin? Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed 1... What is that? Oh, Blu-ray... Oh, okay, so the Blu-ray version is playable, the digital version is not. That is in-game. So, okay, all of those games... All of the Assassin's Creed games on PS3 are marked as in-game, not playable. Okay. Battlefield 3. In-game, okay. GTA 5. Playable. Wait, that's not the game. I searched GTA 5. Why did it show me a completely different game? Okay. I don't know why it's not showing it. Okay, so a lot of the Gran Turismo stuff is not playable. Okay, here we go. GTA. Oh, it shows it for Grand Theft Auto 5. That's in-game, but not... You can't finish the game yet. Okay, this is, like... I know I'm running into a lot of games that are still, like, part of the in-game list, not playable. Even so, right, like, 75% games are playable with no breaking glitches. That's crazy. Like, that's actually crazy. The problem with the PS3 isn't the performance. It is the absolutely batshit insane hardware they decided to build this console around. The cell processor, which was just basically a really big single-core CPU. It was a weird fucking idea. It created a nightmare for game developers. It created a nightmare for emulators. And all of these years later, we are still dealing with it. But on the bright side, we're getting to a point where PS3 emulation is going to be basically near perfect. Now, there's still going to be performance issues. It's still the PS3, and it's still going to require like quite a bit of hardware to push it. But some of these games you can actually now play with pretty modest hardware. Do we have a do they recommend do they recommend hardware? RPCS3 recommended specs. Requirements. Okay, here it is. So, minimum Core 2. Okay, it'll open with a Core 2 Duo. Yeah, I'm sure it will. GT430. Oh my god. Okay. Minimum, what is minimum defined as? Is that literally just it works? We don't define it. Recommended is playable as per RPCS3 compatibility. So recommended specs: Linux, Windows 11, Ryzen 5 5600, Intel Core i5-10400, AMD RX 5600 XT, NVIDIA RTX 2060, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and games perform about as well as they do on a PS3. For optimal, you need a much bigger CPU. The CPU is kind of like the core driving thing here because it's the cell architecture. 9600X, i5-13600X, AMD RX 5600 XT, and a RTX 2060. Also, rather than just a regular SSD, an NVMe SSD, and then maximum performance. Windows isn't even listed. Linux is where you get the maximum performance. 9800X3D, 7800 XT, RTX 4070, and then everything else is the same. This is if you want to play the games at 4K, which is well above what the PS3 did. I think the PS3 could output 4K Blu-ray. Let me double check that one. PS3 4K Blu-ray. No, wait, it actually can't do 4K Blu-ray. Hold up, wait, I thought it could do 4K Blu-ray. No? Okay, I guess not. Unless the Google search results are lying to me, which is very, very possible. Okay, take back what I said. It can't do that. I feel like it could output 4K, though. Maybe in the menu. Maybe if you load footage and play a video, you can output 4K. I could be wrong, though. I might be thinking of the PS4. Because that could output 4K Blu-ray. I'm 99% sure on that one. Let me just check that one. PS4 4K Blu-ray. I'm gonna assume it can. Yeah, okay. PS4 can do 4K Blu-ray. That might be what I'm thinking of. Let me show you the other tweet I had here. The emulation community's hate boner for RPCS 3 begins to make sense when you realize their standard is whether or not games can run in 1080p 60 with enhancements, and not can this PS3 game run like it did on the PS3, which is not very well. There is a lot of people that are like weirdly angry about RPCS 3. Like every time RPCS 3 posts anything, you always have people in the comments that are like, oh, this is broke. Like, just complaining. Like, oh, hurry up and fix performance. Why does it run so badly? Why does this not work? Why does it... Like, the fact that you can even play PS3 games on PC is already absolutely fucking insane. But you're not going to get PS2 performance immediately, right? Like, it took us a while to get to the point where we can do 8K PS2, and it looks very nice. It looks very nice. Now, obviously, you're dealing still with PS2 textures and all that, but the models, they look very, very good. They look nice and crispy models. I do like to upscale any of the games I play when I can. That includes PS1, which I know bothers some people. I know there's some people out there that like their really crunchy PS1 models. What did the PS1 output? PS1 video resolution. It was 240p or 480i. Wow. Yeah, that looks very crunchy on a modern display. I up the resolution really, really high. I want to see my crispy PS1 models, and I know some people don't like it. They like the whole, oh, I want scan lines, and I want the crunchy. No, I don't want it. Get rid of it. Get rid of your bullshit. If I wanted to look like it was on a CRT, I would play on a fucking CRT. And I know some people like their CRT filters. Not me. I like my crispy pixels. And no, I'm not going to bring up the stupid chart of, oh, old games were not made with pixels in mind. Blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Don't care. I'm going to play them the way I want to play it. You play the way you want to play. I'll play the way I want to play. We will not bother each other. And, all things will be well. Honestly, I think a lot of people get, like, very hyper-fixated on the way other people enjoy things. If someone wants to just play a game in a way that you hate, if they want to play with a weird device, they want to play at a resolution you wouldn't play at, fucking be my guest. Be my guest. Do what you want. It's your life. It's your computer. Have fun. That's all I'll say. Have fun and enjoy things. Because you're allowed to just enjoy things. I know, right? Crazy. Speaking of enjoy things, I don't know which. I've got a bunch of topics here. I don't know which one I want to go with. You know what? We'll talk about the PC, the old shitty laptop. So I don't have it with me. It's out in the kitchen right now. That laptop, man. So for anyone who didn't pay attention to the video, I bought a HP EliteBook 8440p. Where is the chunky boy? It is this one right here. Look at that absolute fucking weapon. It's got a little nub here. It's got a shitty trackpad. The buttons barely work. When you close the screen, these fucking lock it in, which is crazy. It's got a fucking RJ11 port on it. It's got FireWire. It's got an eSATA port. Man, it's got a DVD drive. What a device. What a device. The main problem with it is it's a laptop from 2010 with a CPU that I think is from 2008 or 9. It has a first gen i7 in it. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM. It has a mechanical hard drive. Now, I did a video on this, so I was like, can Linux revive an old laptop? And I got a bunch of comments that did not watch the intro. They were like, but of course it's gonna run slowly. You ran it on spinning Rust. But the system has barely any RAM in it. You should have upgraded the... I know it has no RAM in it. I know it has a shitty hard drive. That was the point of the video. The point of the video wasn't, I'm going to spend 3 times the price of the laptop because I bought the laptop for 40 Australian dollars or 45 Australian dollars, something like that. It wasn't, I'm going to spend 3 times the price of the laptop upgrading the laptop. That was not the point of the video. The point of the video was a lot of people say, you can take an old laptop, you can put Linux on it, and then it performs way better. Turns out, no, it actually doesn't if you're running modern Linux. Like, that was the point of the video. Can I ignore the advice of sticking Puppy Linux and, I don't know, some other light environment on it, and how well does modern Linux actually work on this device? Like, that was the whole point of the video, and so many people in the comments did not understand it. They just kept telling me, like, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done this. I know. I know. I said it in the intro. And I think a lot of people got angry with the video. They're like, I have a laptop from this era. It doesn't perform this badly. I have a laptop. The funny one was all the people that said they had a laptop that was that performed about as well, and they kept telling me they had an Ivy Bridge system, which is 2 generations newer than this laptop. I was like, firstly, no, you don't. Secondly, I don't think a lot of people actually know how these laptops actually perform, especially the people who own a laptop from this era. This might sound dumb, but if you have a laptop from this era, I think you forgot what it's actually like to use it with modern Linux, because you've probably done a RAM upgrade, you've probably done an SSD upgrade. These are major upgrades to a device this old. If you're going from, I think the device, it had like a 1, 2, or 4 gigabyte configuration. If you went from like the 2 gigabyte configuration up to 8 gigs, that's a massive upgrade. If you go from a lot of these drives, laptops had a 5400 RPM drive in them to just literally any SSD on the market, that's a massive upgrade. You cannot compare a stock old shitty laptop to old shitty laptop with modern components that fix most of the problems with it. Like, those are not comparable scenarios, and that was the point of the video. The point of the video was to set a baseline on how it actually performs and what is this really like. I will be doing an SSD upgrade. I will be doing a RAM upgrade. It'll cost me, I think, about like $60 to $80. I'm going to get 2 sticks of 4 gigabyte. I think they are 1333 megahertz. Before anyone says, you can get 1500 megahertz. No, I can't. This laptop doesn't support that. it needs to be the 1.5 volt, maximum 1333 megahertz. That is sodium DDR3. You can get some modules pretty cheap. The sad thing is the 1.35 volt ones are cheaper. Probably because, I don't know, maybe there's more of them, maybe less people want them, but they're cheaper. They're at half the price. So, that's annoying. And I'll probably just get the cheapest, literally just the cheapest SSD on the market and see what happens. If this doesn't improve performance and people are like, oh, you should have done this. I love all the people that were like, oh, you didn't have the NVIDIA drivers installed. This doesn't have an NVIDIA GPU. It doesn't have an NVIDIA GPU. Also, the people who are telling me, oh, you should have, assuming it had an NVIDIA GPU, oh, you should have the proprietary NVIDIA GPU drivers installed. They don't support Wayland. Assuming I had one, it would be like a Quadro from 2010. Those don't support Wayland. Like, at all. I think the oldest cards that support Wayland with the proprietary drivers, is it Maxwell? It's like Maxwell or Turing, something like that. Like, much newer than anything that would have been even remotely a thought in anyone's mind back when this laptop was actually made and actually released. So no, that was not a problem. Also, for all the people that are like, oh, why didn't you buy a ThinkPad? It's because all of you keep talking about how great ThinkPads are. If I was to get a equivalent performing ThinkPad, it probably would have been 3 or 4 times the price because people know ThinkPads are great devices, so they are wildly expensive for what they are because there's not new old ThinkPads being made. So any that exist on the market are getting fewer and fewer and fewer, and you're not picking up like a good condition $40 ThinkPad from 2010. Like that's not gonna happen. Yeah, you might find some like just ruined device that you got to spend a bunch of money on. I'm not doing that. The only problem this device has is the battery's old. It holds a charge, but it's an old battery. Also, the scroll lock key is broken. I can still press the little membrane thing, but the key itself is broken. Who fucking cares? Literally, who fucking cares if the scroll lock is broken? The touchpad's also a little bit jank, but it might just be the drivers being jank. I don't actually know. I can just use a mouse. Not exactly a big deal. But there will be more videos with the shitty GPU, with the shitty laptop. There will be videos with the NVIDIA GPUs at some point. I just need to get around to doing those. I don't know what I'll do next. What I do know is there's been a lot of shit going on, so I've just not had time to do it. That's pretty much it. You know what? On the topic of shit going on, I'm not gonna fucking talk about the stupid drama with Clem and Skelly. It's not gonna happen. I said when it fucking first started 3 months ago, I was not gonna talk about it. I know that Skelly's written a blog post and a lot of people like very angry at Skelly because it was a stupid blog post. I'm not getting into it. If you want to argue about the blog post on fucking Reddit or my comments, go ahead and do so. I'm not making a video on it. It's such schoolyard drama. It really is. It's all I will say is don't go to a project complaining that you're not listening about like people about what upstream wants when you're literally complaining about someone following upstream. They're just not your upstream. It is the distro upstream, not the project upstream. Anyway, not what I wanted to talk about. Instead, I want to talk about GNOME's been bleeding a lot of really important people lately. Like, there's been some pretty serious problems with maintaining those, like, big, uninteresting positions, right? We had a few months ago, who was it that like, abandoned a bunch of GNOME maintainer? drops a bunch of software. Who was that? Christian Hergert. Christian Hergert. Yeah, this was back in April, I believe it was. Yeah. Back in April, dropped a bunch of projects like Petixis and text editor, their core text editor, a whole bunch of other things. I don't know how many of those things have been adopted by new people since then, but like this was like a big deal when it happened. And more recently, Michael Catanzaro of Red Hat, he is deciding to make some changes to how GNOME security tracking is being done. Basically, like a lot of projects, he was doing like a 90-day security disclosure period where it's like, oh, I get the report, and then if it's not fixed in 90 days, then I'll publish it. The problem is most people either fix the bug very quickly or they never fixed it. So there was like just no point even waiting the entire 90 days. All it did was just waste time. So he's going to be cutting that from 90 days down to 30 days, which does seem really quickly. Well, it does seem really quick, but if everybody is either fixing it in a week or never fixing it, I guess it makes sense. The other thing, though, is there's a big change for AI-generated security reports. This is something a lot of people are using. This is like the core focus of the blog post, where now we are seeing more security reports that use AI than security reports that don't. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? That's up for you to decide. I will say that when they are real reports, at the end of the day, they are real reports regardless of how they were actually produced. So they are something that probably should be dealt with. The problem with that is there are projects in GNOME that don't accept anything AI, whether it be AI code, whether it be AI reports, and that then becomes a problem where if all the reports that are being handled by the GNOME security guy are AI-generated reports, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? So basically, what was being done is he just closes the reports immediately and then lets the maintainers know that there was a report made, which is such a jank method. But like, the report still exists, right? So it's not getting deleted. It's just being marked as something that won't be dealt with because the computer found it. The magical thinking rock found it. Therefore, it's just not something that is going to be addressed. And look, if that's your policy, right? Like, more power to you. Do the thing you want to do. Also, where is the specific bit? I've been managing GNOME security issue tracking since November 2020. Thank you, Red Hat, for supporting this work. Security tracking is largely a secretarial duty. I keep track of issues when they're reported and when they are closed, disclose them when the deadline is reached, and request CVEs when appropriate. It is not a huge amount of work, but I'm getting tired of it, so it's time for a change. I will discontinue tracking newly reported security issues on November 1st, 2026. During November, I will focus only on tracking issues reported prior to November 1st. By December 1st, all disclosure deadlines for that set of issues will have been reached, and I will be done. Basically, nobody else right now was tracking security issues. So if he steps down from that role, they don't have anyone doing it. And that's one of those really boring positions. It's one of those, it's not even bug triaging. It's just boring secretarial work. Now, someone says, why not report issues via the GitLab? They do that. This is specifically about anything that shouldn't be disclosed before it is dealt with, right? So, like, if you have a bug, report it to the GitLab. Like, that's the point of the GitLab. But if we're talking about something like, oh, there is a remote code execution bug, there is some privilege escalation bug, something like that, things like that you don't immediately publish, you fix it in private, and then you tell people about it. But, this is a problem for them. And, like, this is someone who's, like, this is not, like, a volunteer doing it. This is someone who is paid by Red Hat. Like, they are an employee that is doing this. I don't think they're paid to do this work, but, like, they're an employee in the FOSS world, and even they are stepping back from this work. This, this is just one of many recent cases of GNOME people who are just, like, kind of stepping back. I want there to be a strong and healthy GNOME. I really do. But I don't know where this is like, you know, we're at the top of the hill. The snowball has started rolling. You can still stop the snowball. You can still change course. You can go back up the hill. But this, if it starts actually rolling quickly, you start losing key important people, that becomes a problem very, very fast. And I've said it before in some videos. I want a healthy GNOME because a healthy GNOME means a healthy KDE. If you have one desktop that reigns above everything, what you get is, well, you get what's happened to GNOME over the past 10 years, where they got really cocky. They got in this position where they sort of think they can just basically do whatever they want. They can push other projects around. We are the controllers of Wayland. If we don't like something, it's not going to happen. And I don't think KDE is going to go down that route, but I don't think a lot of people thought GNOME was going to go down that route either. And then, you know, GNOME 3 happened, and that was sort of like for a lot of people, that was the beginning of sort of the GNOME approach shifting. Now, if you look back at early writings about GNOME, a lot of the way that they handled GTK 3 and GNOME 3 was something that was sort of planned from the beginning. Like, that was the direction they really wanted to go. The issue is it finally sort of went into fruition because back then there really wasn't... XFCE was technically competition, but XFCE was also built off of GTK, right? And that was in a period where KDE was being phased out of these big environments, so GNOME was getting more and more and more momentum. And at some point, if you just have one thing that has all the momentum, you can just do whatever you want. I don't want KDE to be in that position. I want there to be a strong competition, but that is the route we are going right now. I think, as I've said in some prior episodes of this, actually, I do think the beginning of the end for GNOME is going to be whenever one of the, like, big enterprise distros, whether it be RHEL or SUSE or whatever one it happens to be, decides they're going to add KDE back as an option. Oh, because, like, you know, consumer demand. There is so much demand for KDE that it has to be added back. If that happens, like, I think that is legitimately the point of no return for GNOME. I think once that happens, then you're going to start seeing other projects doing it. And we're already at a point now where a lot of new projects aren't doing the GNOME thing, they're doing the KDE thing. And, like, KDE is, for a new generation of Linux users, starting to become this face of Linux. Yes, it is still the default on Ubuntu. It is still the default on Workstation, but Workstation isn't the only core version of Fedora now. You also have Fedora KDE. It's the default on CachyOS. It's the default on Bazzite. It's the default on SteamOS. It's the default that a lot of YouTubers are running. It is Linux at this point. Or at least it's getting very close to being Linux at this point. And we'll see how that goes. We will certainly see how that goes. I will be keeping a close eye on it. And I think just like, okay, I don't want to talk about it, but again, going back to what I said before, I think every little situation, like what happened with Skelly and Clem, I think every time something like this happens, even if you're in the right, I don't think Skelly was in the right, but even if you're in the right, it's just another point along the graph where it's like, GNOME knows best, the GNOME way or the highway. If GNOME people are really aggressive, GNOME people like to harass people, like every single point along this graph is just another thing where it's like, why would I get involved in it? And I think that's kind of part of the problem they're having, right? Like, if you're not already within the GNOME ecosystem, like, what is the what is the driving force to get involved unless you really, really like GNOME? Like, people will join KDE as like as an outsider and get involved in it, but like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just incredibly biased, and that is absolutely possible, but this is just from my outsider perspective, and from what I've seen in like GNOME spaces, there is a lot of this sort of turning away. Like, I think a prime example, right? Like, I know it's Reddit, but check out the GNOME Reddit versus the KDE Reddit. The GNOME subreddit is always just like cope about, oh, GNOME's not that bad, guys. Oh, I tried GNOME. And then it's like, thank you, GNOME. GNOME, I love you, GNOME. And it's like these, just like, it's just the same repeated posts over and over again. It's never anyone doing anything with GNOME. Maybe like every so often it'll be, oh, here's this random new GNOME application. And the comments are like, oh, well, why do we need another email client? Why do we need another text editor? And like, there's just this, even though, like, yeah, if you want to make your own thing, like, go right ahead. Like, there's no reason not to. But it's just this, it's this compounding distrust over time. And it's, I don't know how you turn back from that. I legitimately don't, without just clean slate, wiping everything, wiping the entire community-facing aspect of GNOME, and just shutting up for like 2 or 3 years, and just focusing on adding features that people want. I do think the... I do think the whole, like, curated experience, it worked at a point when the vision aligned with what other people wanted. And it also worked at a point where the Linux space was smaller, because then the people that align with that vision are a smaller group, but so are the people that disagree with that vision, right? And GNOME early on had that benefit of being the GTK environment, being the GNU environment. It was the GNU networked object model environment. It benefited from having that GPL license, and these are things which now hold a lot less weight. Firstly, a lot of people don't even know it used to be part of GNU. Also, it's not part of GNU any longer. But also, a lot of people don't really care about licenses anymore. If you say something's GPL licensed, unless they're a developer, like, that's not really a concern with them. And even then, you have a lot more people who are coming into Linux from like a more general open source perspective. And in a general open source perspective, like MIT and BSD and other permissive, Apache as well, other permissive kind of licenses, they are way, way more popular. So as more of those people join Linux, you get more of a, like, just like a general open source vibe kind of coming in, and less of a interest on those values that really pushed GNOME early on. And a lot of those people are seeing, like, what's being done with Valve, what's being done with SteamOS, what's being done, and seeing, like, hey, KDE is the thing that is always being pushed here, and it's, like, really strengthening the environment. And just, like, look at KDE donations. Like, they're doing exceptionally well. Like, yeah. Also, KDE recently got the investment from the Sovereign Tech Fund. I know GNOME has sort of talked about reapplying to it, but considering what happened during the Sunny situation, frankly, I don't think they would even accept their application. Like, it was a fucking shit show what happened during that. Like, if you've not seen the whole Sunny situation, that was explained like a month or two ago. Like, there's a lot of problems that happened when he got kicked. There's a lot of problems that happened that, like, the entire project went up in the air. People weren't getting paid properly. Just a mess. So even if they did reapply, I don't know if if the Sovereign Tech Fund would even agree to fund them again. So it's just, again, GNOME's snowball is starting down the negative side of the hill. KDE's snowball, it's going down the right side. It's going down the correct side where it should be going, and it's only speeding up and nothing's getting in its way. Yeah. And I've shown this before. We'll show it one more time, then I'll probably move on from this topic. This is obviously specifically just talking about Arch Linux, but there is also the PKG stats. This is the percentage of users of Arch Linux that have this package installed that calculates the stats, that have different environments and browsers and various other things installed. This is the red graph down here, the red line, that's GNOME. They swapped around, back in 2018? So that would have been like late Plasma 5. Hold up, what year was GNOME 40? When did GNOME 40 release? 2021. So this was still... Okay, so this was like late... Yeah, this was late GNOME 3. And you can see, like, when we start getting... Yeah, actually, wait, look at this. This is the point where it fell off. So, it fell off in... Granted, Plasma also fell there, so it's unclear if that's the stats or if it actually fell. GNOME 40 released in March of 2021, which is basically where those numbers fell, but Plasma's numbers recovered. GNOME's didn't. Ever since GNOME 40, it's just been, like, continuously downhill. Granted, this is just Arch Linux. But Arch Linux is a distro where people have free will. They decide on the environment they want to use. They are not being, like, just given an environment. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't see GNOME coming back from this, like, anytime soon with the path they've been going. You know what? We've not talked about... we did talk about some video game stuff, didn't we? I forgot about that. Yeah. We'll talk about some more video game stuff. Let us talk... I'll probably do a react video on this on the gaming channel. Let us talk about the Kingdom Hearts situation. So, a while back... Okay, I say a while back. It's like a day or two ago. Actually, no. Okay, we'll start from there. A while back, there was an announcement of a game called Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Now, for anyone who is not a Kingdom Hearts enjoyer, Missing Link was basically going to be the connection between 3 and 4. Because Sora died in Kingdom Hearts 3, but we don't really have any understanding of how things link together. Like, what is this new world? How does it all fit together? Why are there mobile game characters in this world? What the fuck is going on? Missing Link had a bit of a situation because, turns out somebody was sent the intro for the game. And that intro got published onto the internet. Now, there is a little YouTuber's symbol in the bottom here. The guy whose symbol is here is claiming he's not the one who had the video. It was somebody else who was framing him. We don't know. I don't know. Nobody really knows. All we do know is, what the fuck is Nomura cooking with this game? So for anyone who doesn't play Kingdom Hearts, basically, these astronaut-looking dudes, they are fighting what I'm assuming is like a Neo Darkseid, which is like, Darkseid is the first boss Heartless in the series, Heartless of the enemies. First boss Heartless, a Neo version would be like big, scarier version, basically. And half of them get fucking murked pretty much straight away. But this is like really, really grim, really dark looking for Kingdom Hearts. We don't really know what's going on here. What we do know is that Missing Link got cancelled. And we don't know if this is possibly a scene that is going to be repurposed for Kingdom Hearts 4 in some way, because it is introducing characters which are really important characters, like this dude right here, who are probably going to be very important to this story of Kingdom Hearts 4. I am so excited for KH4. I am so, so excited. Kingdom Hearts 3 was... When did it release? Kingdom Hearts 3 release date... It released in 2019. The problem is, a lot of Kingdom Hearts 3 was... It frankly felt like filler. So, for anyone who hasn't played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet... Okay. I don't even know how to explain it in a way for anyone who hasn't played Kingdom Hearts, what was wrong with Kingdom Hearts 3. So, Kingdom Hearts, you probably know, you go from, like, these various different worlds, and a lot of these worlds are Disney worlds. Now, in early Kingdom Hearts, these worlds actually served a purpose in the story. It would be to introduce, like, villains that would come up later. It would be for Sora to grow, for Sora to learn a lesson, for, like, Sora to really understand what his journey was. Kingdom Hearts 2, it used the world as a way to introduce a lot of the new antagonists we were having, which in Kingdom Hearts 2, that was the organization. Technically, they were introduced in Chain of Memories, but introduced to Sora... I guess they were introduced to Sora in Chain of Memories as well, but he kind of forgot about Chain of Memories because of the whole Castle Oblivion deleting a memory. So he re-met the organization in Kingdom Hearts 2. And I guess that was the first time that a lot of people did actually play with a game with the organization. A lot of people skipped Chain of Memories originally because it was a fucking GBA game. It was like a PS2 version that got, like, remade after... Hold up. When did Re-Chain of Memories come out? When was Re-Chain of Memories? Was it before Kingdom Hearts 2 or after? I know the GBA version came out before Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts games. Sorry, we're getting side tangent again. This is the second episode that we're talking about Kingdom Hearts. Okay. So, original Chain of Memories was a year before Kingdom Hearts 2. That was a GBA game. Re-Chain Memories came out 2 years later. A lot of people didn't play the GBA game. A lot of people didn't really experience it until the PS2 version came out. And then a lot of people, like me, didn't play it until the HD collection came out years later because I didn't even know the game existed. I ended up first playing it on the PS3. Now, Kingdom Hearts 2, the world still mattered because the new villains sort of interacted with the Disney characters of the world, right? They sort of merged the villains into the Disney story in a way that still felt like the story, but also felt like its own thing, right? Like in Beast Castle, where you're with the Beast, there is the whole thing where the Beast wants to become human and all that sort of stuff. That story was merged into Zaldan's story. Zaldan was the member of the organization introduced in that world, and he was the one who gave him the rose, and he was the one who was promising to make the Beast human and all this stuff. He was fucking with him because... I don't remember. It was a while since I played Kingdom Hearts 2. But in Kingdom Hearts 3, basically, everything that happened in the worlds didn't actually matter. And then at the end of the world, it was like, hi guys, I'm Vanitas. Hi guys, I'm young Xehanort. Hi guys, I'm old Xehanort. Hi guys, I'm Heartless Xehanort, also known as Ansem. Hi guys, I'm Xemnas. And it's just like, they had no impact on the world. Everything up until the end of that world section just didn't matter. And it's just, oh, here's the organization member. And then every single... Like, none of the plot points were really addressed from world to world. Nothing got addressed until the Keyblade Graveyard, and then it tried to wrap up, like, 7 different plot lines across 15 years in a matter of, like, 3 hours of gameplay. Not even, like, 2 hours of gameplay, and it was a mess. My hope is that either there is less of a focus on the Disney world, which is not going to happen because Disney owns Kingdom Hearts, or the worlds themselves are allowed to be more impactful like they were in Kingdom Hearts 1, like they were in Kingdom Hearts 2, because, frankly, a lot of Kingdom Hearts 3, if you skip the cutscenes, you actually just don't lose out anything of the game. Kingdom Hearts 3, it was basically like, it was just like movie cutscene, gameplay, movie cutscene, gameplay, movie cutscene, gameplay, movie cutscene. Hi guys, I'm Vanitas. And that was every single fucking world. Just replace Vanitas with whichever organization member it happens to be at the time. So I hope we don't do that again. I really hope we don't. And considering that we are now in... we don't really know... Is it the real world? It's this... We're in Quadratum now, which is where people go when they die or something, I think. We're not really sure. The game's not out yet. So hopefully that means we can get... Especially with what Missing Link was doing there. Hopefully it means we can have a bit of a darker tone. Because that was the other problem with Kingdom Hearts 3. 1 and 2 had their dark moments, right? It's still a Disney game, right? But, there were these moments where you really felt like, the world was collapsing around you. Bad things were actually happening where, because each of the individual worlds in 3 literally did not matter, anything that happened in them was just, oh, it's Disney fun. Oh, Disney cutscene. Oh, thing that happened in the movie is happening in the game now. Wow, who would have guessed that was gonna happen? And then you get to the Keyblade Graveyard, and it feels like the Keyblade Graveyard... Here's what it feels like with Kingdom Hearts 3. It feels like all of the Disney stuff was contractual requirements, and the Keyblade Graveyard was the game that Nomura wanted to make. That's how it feels like to me. Because there were some really cool fight segments in the Keyblade Graveyard. It was really cool to do some of the tag team fights where it's like, oh, you're fighting, I think it was Marluxia and Larxene at the same time. Or you're fighting, I think it was Ansem... Is it Ansem, Young Xehanort, and Xemnas? Or Old Xehanort? I think, no, Old Xehanort was a separate fight. I think it was Young Xehanort, Ansem, and Xemnas. that's really cool. And then fighting alongside the other Guardians of Light. That's really, really cool. Fighting, I think the fight with Riku Replica, I think that you had Riku in your party at the time. That's really neat. That was the stuff that made Kingdom Hearts 3, somewhat good. Then you had, obviously, Remind and all that. People like Remind, all that good stuff. But my hope is we get more of that in 3. Obviously, Disney fun and all that's going to be there because it's still a Disney game, and I like the Disney stuff. But I'd like more substance in most of the game than what we had. That's kind of my deal with it. Also, I really hope this game doesn't just get deleted like Kingdom Hearts 3 did. Because, I don't know if you guys remember it. Original Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay. What we've seen from the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 4 looks more in line with Kingdom Hearts 3. Gameplay reveal. It looks more in line with, the original... Was this it? The Traverse Town section, specifically. Okay, this is the Tangled stuff. Was this it? Oh yeah, they weren't even Heartless in... No, I think this might have been a later one, actually. Yeah, I think this was a later version. Yeah, here we go. Here's the 2013 version. So this is when they actually revealed the game. It looked like it didn't even look like it was a different game. This is not the same game. All this engine, this is back when they were using Luminous. This is not the same game. They deleted the game and then remade it in UE4, I believe. This, I think the reason why they didn't do there's still components, they still have the attractions, they still have the Rock Titan fight, all that. But I think the problem they had is they started to reach the limitations of what this engine could do. But the thing I did like about this is it really got the Kingdom Hearts art style down. That's my That's another problem I have with Kingdom Hearts 3. I frankly don't like the art style of it. I think they diverge way too much. This looked like PS2 Kingdom Hearts on the PS4, right? Like that's what it looked like. This was more in line with the... Was this... Hold up. Did we have... No. The Fragmentary Passage was later, I believe. Yeah, Fragmentary Passage was a tech demo for Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah. That was in UE at the time, I believe. Yeah. Fragmentary Passage would have been UE. But I do like the art style for Kingdom Hearts 4. I know a lot of people are kind of like iffy on it, but I think the art style for 3 was just... It was just so rough. It wasn't bad, right? It just wasn't Kingdom Hearts. Also, look, maybe this is controversial. I don't like a lot of the new costumes in Kingdom Hearts 3. I really am not a fan of the Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora look. It's... like, everything about Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora, I just feel like is like a downgrade from what we had before. Kingdom Hearts 4 Sora with his fucking stupid leather jacket, I actually kind of like him more. Like, if we're gonna diverge from Kingdom Hearts' art style, let's lean fully into Nomura. Let's do stupid bullshit. Let's just like go all in. Don't just half do it. Actually do everything for it and just have fun with it. I think that's another thing with Kingdom Hearts 4. We're starting a new saga. And obviously, stuff that happened before still matters. The mobile game bullshit actually matters now. But at the very least, the whole stuff with fucking Xemnas and Xehanort is all done. Okay, I say that, but we do know that young Xehanort is in this game. Young Xehanort, not Terranort. Did I say young Xehanort before? I meant Terranort. Terranort is a different character to young Xehanort, even though they are technically both young Xehanort. Yeah. Do we have a date for it? I think is it 2027, 2028? Kingdom Hearts 4 release date. Late 2027, so probably something like... Oh, analysts say 2027. Hopefully it's not another situation where it's like 2030. 2030, guys. Yeah. But considering that we're getting leaks of, like, missing link and stuff, you know, who knows what happens? I don't know anything. All I know is, I will be playing it, and I will be streaming it when it comes out. Like, that is going to be happening. Honestly, I might book that week off and, like, stream extra long. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens come that time. See if I'm even working my other job at that time. I don't know. All I do know is I will be playing it, and, yeah. Speaking of other things I will be playing. Not RuneScape. However. I thought you couldn't actually see that. RuneScape, the official Jagex launcher, is now getting a Linux beta. Now you might be saying, well, can't I just play RuneScape on Linux? Yes. However, you've had to use something known as Bolt. Let me find it. RuneScape Bolt. This is basically a... Wait, is that the wrong one? This is basically a third-party launcher that will open up the game. So this is like you can like use this with RuneLite that will like, you know, launch up the game and all that good stuff. No longer No longer is that the case. No longer will you have to do that. Now, you will actually just be able to play RuneScape, which is cool. Now, I don't care. Here's the thing, right? I will not get back into RuneScape. I spent a lot of time playing RuneScape as a kid. I have done my time. I have done my commitment. I will not be playing it. However, it seems like a lot of people are somewhat excited. Some people are just saying they're just going to keep using Bolt because apparently Bolt will remember your login credentials, which is nice, I guess. But as something that is more officially supported, it's always nice to have that, right? It's always nice, even as not like the thing that everyone is going to be using, it's always nice to have companies that say, we are just going to officially support Linux. Even if not everyone is going to do it, here you go, have it. Ooh, I bumped the mic. Have at it, enjoy your life. You don't have to use it, but we're just going to put it out there and go right ahead, have fun with it, enjoy your video games. And that's cool. That is cool. Now, one game that I will be playing is Path of Exile. Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a game that okay, here's the thing, right? Every time I play PoE, for anyone who doesn't know PoE, Path of Exile, it's basically Diablo, but you need a PhD to understand the skill tree. PoE, skill tree. You've probably seen the skill tree. I don't even know if this is the most up-to-date version of the passive skill tree. It probably isn't, but it is the skill tree. Welcome to PoE skill tree. You don't have to know everything. Also, you don't have to know anything. Just follow a fucking build guide. Basically, when you start the game, you start at one of these nodes here. You then build out from the node. So I don't remember where stuff is. This might be this is, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember any of the starting points. Except this is the Scion. So basically all of the character classes you can play, they're on the same skill tree. So you could take this and then go whoop. Now it's probably not going to be a good build, but you can route anywhere you want to, assuming you have enough points to get to where you want to get to. I don't know the furthest possible point you can get to. I assume someone has run the numbers on that, but I don't know. And it's probably not very important because it probably won't be a very useful build to do it like that. Now, here's the thing with PoE. Every time, I guess there is another skill tree. There is also the map skill tree, the skill tree for customizing the endgame mechanics. Every time I get to the end of a PoE league, I'm like, I'm done with PoE. I'm gonna take a league off. I just realized you couldn't see the fucking skill tree. Oops. Here you go. There you go. It's a skill tree. There you go. I had the thing full screen. I forgot I can't do that. Anyway, every time I get to the end of a league, I'm like, I'm going to stop playing PoE. Or, I'm going to take a league break off. And then every time lately it's happened, I took a long break because we had the Settlers of Kalgur. And they're like, hey guys, let's make Settlers of Kalgur core. And when they did that, I was like, I'm fucking done with this game, because they decided to make Settlers Core and make it insanely fucking busted, where it was a requirement to do anything in the game, because everything got wildly more expensive because it was free currency. Then they rebalanced it. I'm like, okay, I don't like that it's core, but at least I can now ignore it. And then they're like, hey guys, here's this cool new league. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll play the league. I was like, oh, Mercenaries of Trathus? That's cool. Oh, there's this new league that is the fucking what's the mechanic? Not Legion, not fucking Abyss. Fuck, what was the league called? The one elite. Not last league, the league before. PoE leagues. Why am I blanking on the fucking mechanic? I don't run the mechanic. That's probably why I'm blanking on it. Keepers. Keepers of the Flame. Keepers of the Flame. Yes, when like, hey guys, let's do a rework of the Breach League. Yeah, guys, let's rework Breach. Oh, that was really fun. It was a tough league, and I kind of had a shitty build for it, but it was fun. I think that was the league I played KB. Yeah, that was my Kinetic Blast league. And then we got to last league, and like, hey guys, what if we just make a league where everyone's fucking rich? What if we add a mechanic where it can just, like, double the currency on the ground? What? Oh, yeah, it also adds these hyper expensive items. What? Oh, yeah, also, there's a bunch of other random, like, at the start of the league, there's a bunch of other shit that's glitched, and it's actually, like, dropping crazy fucking currency. What? Oh, okay, my build is just complete very quickly. Oh, yeah, okay, I've had my fun, I'm done now. Oh, Curse of the Old Flame. Oh, okay, so let's do this league where you go down in the submarine and then you explore this area and you, like, place these flames and then you loot out these areas and you get these really cool items. Oh, let's also add, like, a bunch of you know what? Let's add a change to the game that completely reworks the way that skills work. So a big thing with PoE that a lot of people kind of didn't like is PoE has this thing known as gem sockets. So, all of your weapons, all your armor pieces except your rings and your amulets, they have a number of sockets on them. These sockets are what you put your skill gems into. Now, the sockets still exist, and also links exist. So, PoE also has a thing called support gems. So, you put a skill gem in a socket. There are links to other sockets. You put support gems in that socket, and then it modifies the support gem, modifies the skill gem. So it might do something like, oh, it creates more projectiles, or, oh, it creates less projectiles, but those projectiles do more damage, or they cause things to explode on death, or they cause a burn effect, and the burn effect maybe spreads, things of that sort of nature. Now, the problem with gearing in PoE is sometimes you would get a really cool gear upgrade and it would have the right number of sockets and the wrong socket colors. Now, when we're dealing with a 3-link item, so this is an item that has 3 sockets that are linked together, not a big deal. You can re-roll that item with chromatic orbs that will change the color of the sockets. The problem is when you have a 6-link item that needs a very specific set of gem colors, of socket colors, because then you have a problem where you need 6 different slots to roll in the correct colors. Now, the fun thing with PoE is the attribute of the item influences the socket colors. So something like a bow. A bow is a dexterity item, so it is going to be more likely to roll green sockets. You might have let's say you have a strength. Let's bring up an actual example. PoE weapons. Just so we have like an actual real world example. PoE wiki. Let's say you have a mace. What is mace? No, mace is solid strength. Let's say you have a scepter. Yeah, okay, scepters work. So let's say you have, I don't know, a void scepter, or like let's say you have a void scepter. So this is an item that has a strength and an int requirement. This is going to roll at a higher rate with red and blue sockets. Now, if it's something like an armor piece that has 6 sockets, so this is a one-handed weapon, this is going to have 3 sockets max. If it's an armor pieces are where your 6 links are usually going to live unless you have a 2-handed weapon. Most builds are not running 2-handed weapons, but sometimes they do. So you might have like you might have like a strength int armor piece. So that would be, let's see, body armor, strength and int. That'll be something like a paladin's hauberk or a grand ringmail or a sacred chainmail late game. Now, this is fine if you need red and blue sockets. However, sometimes there are builds where you need more of your off-socket color than you need of your on-socket colors. So maybe you have a pure strength item, so pure red sockets. And let's say you need 3 green, 2 blue, and 1 red. Now you got a problem, because red is your on-socket color, but you need primarily not red. So you're going to be spending a fucking lot of chromatics to try to get it to be the right color. Now, there are strategies. There's like a crafting bench recipe where you can guarantee 2 of a certain color and then try to roll it like that, which is usually the way to go about it. However, they've decided to just say, fuck it. Doesn't matter anymore. Well, it does matter, but it doesn't matter for leveling. Now they've decided to introduce a concept. I believe they're called gray sockets. PoE gray sockets. Are they called gray sockets? Is that just like the name everyone's giving them? Okay, so PoE did have a concept known as white sockets. White sockets were uncolored sockets. I don't think they have an official name. Maybe they do. Gray sockets are basically the new concept they've introduced where there are still socket colors. However, you don't need to worry about socket colors. Now, instead of being a hard requirement where red goes in the red hole, blue goes in the blue hole, green goes in the green hole, now it's kind of like the square goes in the square hole. Circle goes in the square hole. Triangle goes in the square hole. Now, any gems can go in any socket colors, but if you have a correctly colored socket, now it gives you a bonus. Now it gives you a quality bonus. Quality is a modifier you can put in your gems that will increase various aspects of the gems. So let's say, PoE Wiki, let's just go Kinetic Blast, because it's the first thing that came to mind. So Kinetic Blast, for example, for every additional quality, it raises this stat right here. So creates 0.05 to 1 additional explosions. If this was socketed into a blue socket, you immediately get an additional 10% quality. That is on top of the quality you can add. So now, without doing any corruption or anything weird like that, if you have things socketed correctly, gems can get to 30% quality. And for gems like this, that is a fucking big add. For other gems, like auras, things like that might not matter, where it's just like, oh, increases the aura range. If you're playing solo, doesn't really matter. But this makes campaign leveling so much easier. Because so often, you would get a new upgrade, and it's like, I can't equip this because I don't have any chromatics yet. I just have to wait till the next item or just hold off and maybe I can get enough chromatics for it. No more. No more. This is also great for early endgame as well, because now what you can do is when you start dropping 6 links, which will start happening around Act 10, which is the final act technically final act. There's technically whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a little bit to do for the epilogue before you start in the actual endgame. But basically, final act. You start dropping, you stop dropping 6 link. I think maybe in Act 9 you can start getting them. Definitely in Act 10. And then you get into white maps. This is where you actually start doing endgame. Now, as soon as you get a 6 link that has decent stats, you can just grab it and immediately go into your whatever your build happens to need as its endgame setup. This changes everything. This changes everything because now you can actually start playing your fucking build without having to go and buy some random item for like chaos orbs that you don't have yet. And it just makes the initial entry into endgame so much smoother, because this was a stopping point for a lot of people when it started to get like it's difficult to gear my items because there's already enough complexity, already enough difficulty in getting your 6-link, because that's the other problem. 6-linking an item, not easy. Well, okay, there's strategies now, there's different crafting mechanisms, there's a beast crafting recipe for it, we can get a guaranteed 6-link, there's various other methods you can do it. But the traditional method of getting a 6-link is you take orbs of linking and you click. Now, on average, it'll take you about 2,500 orbs of linking, which is a lot. So there's already enough annoyances with that one. And then it also makes it easier to start doing, like, some of the more complicated crafting, like doing annulling, like trying to corrupt your item, messing around with some of the mechanisms, because now individual gear pieces are way less valuable. And I think that's going to have a real effect on the market for this league. I think endgame perfect socket colors are still going to be incredibly expensive, but gearing up to that point, a lot of those items I think are going to lose a lot of their value. It's just going to be or at the very least, there's going to be a lot more junk 6-links out there that are just easy to grab, that have solid life mods, solid resistance mods, and various other things you might need. So overall, I'm excited for the league. Also, they added an item that creates totems that follow you. That it turns the totems into crabs. So now the totem build players can cope about the fact they're still not playing a minion build, even though they have these things that follow them around that look like minions and act like minions. However, they're not called minions. They're called totems. Totally different. They do the exact same thing. They act the exact same. It was totally different, guys. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still not sure what build I'm going to be playing. Usually what I end up doing with PoE is I go to max roll, and then I'm like, what build looks fun? That's usually my go-to. And I'm not fully set on what I'm going to play. Usually I end up just scrolling through stuff and seeing what looks somewhat fun, and usually something that I haven't necessarily played before. Maybe I'll play a mine build. I don't know. They also massively buff self-casters. That was another fun thing. Oh yeah, that's a thing with PoE. There's a difference between you can be a self-caster where you cast spells, or you have things that cast spells for you. Yeah, you probably got it from the skill tree. There is a lot of build complexity, right? This is a game where it has 15 years of addition. When 15 years? When did PoE release? Okay, 13 years. It originally released October 2013. When was the beta though? When was the PoE beta? 2011. Okay, so 15 years if we include the beta. That was started as closed beta in 2011, open beta in 2013. So 15 years of power creep. That's another thing. They added mercenaries into base game. So now you can just hire a dude that follows you around, and he's can just follow you. Now, they did nerf mercenaries from the Trathus League. Now they're not permanent, unless you play a specific build that makes them permanent. So they did get nerfed a bit. However, it does just seem like free power gain, which we'll see. We will see. We will see what happens. We will see what happens as we go forward, because it's not often that PoE just adds flat power increases, and when it does, usually it means that builds get more fucky. Builds get very, very more fucky. Either way, though, I'm going to be playing it. I'm going to have some fun, and that is going to be probably, it's going to be the day this comes out. So if you're watching this and you want to come and try PoE, it is going to be league start day. So come have fun, read a build guide, don't go into it blind, and yeah. So that's enough PoE. We did talk about did we talk about AI? Yeah, we briefly mentioned AI with the GNOME security report thing. I do want to talk about AI a little bit. So I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but Australia is doing the Australia thing. We are thinking that we can just control the world and anyone's going to listen to us. So Australia is planning some of the world's toughest AI regulations. Water usage will be limited. I love the water meme. The water meme is so fucking funny. AI data centers will be required to become net producers of energy. If this means we get nuclear power, hey, that's something. AI companies can't train on Australian creators' work without their permission. That's me. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. I'm sure all of the companies operating out of China are gonna respect Australian law. Proposal expected to be introduced as legislation in 2027. Australian writers, musicians, artists, and journalists must retain ownership and control of their work. Our laws will spell that out plain as day. Anything less is theft. Now, I agree with the sentiment. Absolutely agree with the sentiment. I know how this goes, though. I know how this goes. How it goes every single other time. Australia tries something. The companies are like, no, fuck you. We're going to cut our service in Australia. Then they're like, no, don't do that. Nope. Bad idea. Eject. I think Australia thinks that we think we are a much bigger market than we really are. Like, if the US did something like this, I think it would have an effect. If Europe did something, it would have an effect. Yes, Australia is a large market, but I don't think we're going to be able to push around the US when the US is, like, all on board with AI. China is all on board with AI. Maybe if Europe decides to do something similar, that might have an effect. I just have my doubts. And I think what's going to end up just happening is pretty much the same thing that happened with, like, the porn restrictions in Australia or anything else like this, where it's like, Australia, you can kind of just fucking do your own thing. You guys can, like, deal with your own bullshit. We're going to do our thing over here, so, as long as you're not Australian, you can fucking do whatever you want. And that's my expectation. Now, I would like there to be some sort of AI regulations that exist. The problem that I see is I think that unless you can get some sort of, not even just worldwide, but, like, large agreement on it from a lot of countries, you're really not gonna have, like, anything that actually happens here, right? I think it's just gonna basically be, all what's gonna happen is the other Australian thing, which is the new government comes in, it's the other party that wins, and they're like, you know all those things the last government was doing? Yeah, we're just not gonna do any of those things. It's gonna be like NBN 2.0, and, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen, and then it's like, next government comes in again, they say, like, oh, we're gonna do this thing. Then it gets pushed back another 2 years. Then the next government comes in again, and like, I'm not gonna do that. And then eventually, like, 20 years from now, something does happen. The entire world is run by the magical thinking rocks, and, goodbye, goodbye world. Yeah. I don't know. I have said before, I think this AI tech stuff is here to stay, right? Like, it is here to stay, no matter what any regulations are going to do. I think there does need to be something done, because we are going to see massive, and we're already starting to see it, like, massive displacement of jobs is happening right now. And I don't really see how you curtail that without some sort of massive shift. Now, I don't know if I'm, like, fully on board with, like, a UBI kind of situation. But nobody else is really suggesting, like, a good solution. Like, what you usually have is, oh, it's going to be like the Industrial Revolution, where all of these new jobs are going to be made, and it's going to completely, it's going to revitalize everything. And, like, that's great and all. But I don't know what those jobs, firstly, are going to be. Secondly, what the intellectual requirement is going to be either, because, you know, we had factory jobs at one point in Australia, and we do to some extent, just not that much. America was the same. America is pulling some of it back as well, but a lot of that was shipped overseas. And it might not be nice to say, but there are some people where the hardest thing that they are able to do is turn a nut. They are a exceptional nut turner. Maybe they can even take 2 bits of metal and then bring them closer to each other. They're not welding. Welding's like actual difficult thing, but like they can take the metal, bring it together, and then the welder can do the welding thing. It's not nice to say, but there legitimately are people that like that is what they can do, right? And as we get a more technically advanced society, there's something that, like, there needs to be a meaning for people's lives, right? And I don't think that meaning is, oh, everyone just becomes an artist and everyone just like, ooh, we all sing Kumbaya and everyone just lives a fantastic life. I don't see how that works out well. I don't see how a world where people, I think for a lot of people, like, work is their meaning, right? Being the provider, being someone who, even if it's just for themselves, right? They don't even have to have a family. Being the one who makes the money in their life, going somewhere every day where you have to be there. You just have to show up for the work. That is something which I think, like, that kind of structure is something a lot of people need. I don't think everyone can be an artist. I don't think everyone can be an entrepreneur. I'm worried for the future. That I think is like the TLDR of everything I'm saying here. I am worried for the future, and I don't have a solution. I don't think anyone really has a solution. Anyone who does have a solution is frankly not in government, because I don't think there's any of the governments that are really thinking about the solution. The solutions you get basically are full steam ahead or we must regulate it. And there's like not any plan of this tech's not going away. What do we do with it? Like, how do we solve this? What do we do about the job crisis that is going to be happening? Where does this actually go? I don't know. Now, I guess we could, I think we'll wrap up on that one. And you know what? I did say I was going to talk about it. Let us talk a little bit about Shenmue. Shenmue. So, I streamed the entire series. For anyone who doesn't know, Shenmue is a series that was made by, what was his name? What was the man's name? I'm thinking Yu Suzuki. Is that correct? Yes. Mr. Yu Suzuki, formerly of Sega. Now, there's a reason he's formerly of Sega, because he almost bankrupted the entire company. So Shenmue was a game made by Sega back in 1999. This was gonna get a PS2 version. It never did, because of many reasons about what happened with the game. The game was wildly expensive. It got good ratings, but I want to say this was the most expensive game at the time. I want to say that was right. Yeah, it cost $70 million. Most expensive game ever developed at the time. $70 million might not sound that crazy today, right? Like that's nothing compared to some of the games we've seen. But this was at a time where people weren't making games like they do now, right? When was Metal Gear Solid? Metal Gear Solid, not Metal Gear. Metal Gear. The original Metal Gear Solid. So, okay, Metal Gear Solid was a year earlier in 1998. That was probably like the only. There was a few other story games here and there, but like that kind of idea just was not what people were doing. And Shenmue 1 was a very, very ambitious game. As an example, this game was set in 1987? What year? 83? 86. Set in 1986. And over the course of the game, every single day had the accurate weather patterns of that part of Japan at that specific day. Because Yu Suzuki, in the first game, basically every single cabinet could be opened. Every NPC was voiced. I think every NPC had a unique voice actor as well. Shenmue 1 was a crazy game, but I think Shenmue 1 is by far the best out of the series. Shenmue 1 was a crazy technical game, but it had a clear, specific vision for what it was going for. So basically the idea of Shenmue 1 is your father is killed by a man called Lan Di. He is from China. Go to China to find Lan Di. Now here's the kicker. You actually never find Lan Di in spoiler. You actually never you actually never deal with Lan Di. Okay, technically, but you never actually properly. What I liked about Shenmue 1 is it was a small area and you got to know the town. Like, you were from this small town in Japan. You got to know every single NPC. You knew where they worked. You knew where they spent time every day. You got to meet the American hot dog guy, and he was like, you know, the coolest character. There was this guy who ran this patch store who said, years ago, I was Chinese. Then I became a naturalized Japanese. I see. Now, I think Shenmue 1 was a rough game, but it was by far my favorite in the series. Then we get to Shenmue 2, and Shenmue 1 ends with you getting on a boat going to Hong Kong. You start in Hong Kong. Now, you don't know anyone there. You don't know any of the NPCs. And the problem with that is you don't know any of the NPCs and you don't care about any of the NPCs because none of them matter. Like, you care about the NPC that runs the hotel. You care about the NPCs that have cutscenes and the guy at the job that you go to that tells you to lift some boxes and the guy who lifts the boxes with you who's like, left, we're putting it down. But besides that, anyone else, you just don't care about anyone else. And that was my problem with Shenmue 2. Shenmue 1, I love the feeling of getting to know the town, getting to know the people. But that feeling was not there in Shenmue 2. In Shenmue 1, it felt like I could spend time in this town. In Shenmue 2, it's like, go to objective, go to objective, go to objective, go to... It was just, there was nothing really driving me to like engage with the world. There was like, I didn't care. None of the NPCs were interesting. None of them had like funny dialogue. None of them were interesting, and none of them I really wanted to see what they were doing. And then instead of just sticking in this part of Hong Kong, then you eventually go to Kowloon. And now all of a sudden, you have a whole new set of NPCs that you don't care about. And the problem with Kowloon, so Kowloon actually is like was a real place. The walled city of Kowloon. It was basically this... At one point, it was like a Chinese military base, and then eventually it became like this, effectively this ghetto. Buildings on buildings, buildings linking to buildings. There was no health and safety code here. Eventually it got torn down because, well, it had to get torn down. And whilst obviously they didn't model the entirety of Kowloon, they did model the vibes of Kowloon. There were multiple cases where it's like, hey, go up this building and go to floor 7. Oh, you go up the stairs. Oh, you can't get to floor 3 because the stairs are blocked. Oh, we'll get in the elevator. The elevator goes to 5, 9, and 12. Oh, so you got to go to floor 9 and then walk back down to 7. And that's just like a basic example. There were so many cases where like, the bad thing about it is all of these rooms were empty, right? It was just the same copy-pasted room over and over again. There were no NPCs to interact with in there. Maybe like one guy here and there in some of the lower floors, but most of it is just entirely empty. And I get it, right? Like, Kowloon is supposed to be like this, but like, Kowloon's also supposed to be incredibly densely populated. Where are the people? Where are the random fucking stores? Where are like the weird, wacky NPCs? And I think a big part of it is Suzuki blew the budget on Shenmue 1. Like, the intention was to make the entire series, and Shenmue 2 kind of just felt like they had this vision and then no longer had the resources to do it. Then, to make matters worse, you get to the end of the game. You get to Disc 3. The entirety of Disc 3 is a 2-hour segment of you walking through the forest. Nothing happens. All you're doing is speaking to this NPC, Shenhua, this girl you were just introduced to, and then the game ends. There's like a cutscene, it's like, I have magic sword. Game ends. Still no Lan Di. Then, many years later, they made Shenmue 3, and oh my god, it's fucking terrible. Basically, Shenmue 3 kind of... So, Shenmue always had, like, real janky English voice acting. Shenmue 3, it kind of felt like... You know how the DMC anime felt like DMC learnt from TikTok? It kind of felt the same way with Shenmue 3. It's like, even though Suzuki was making it, it kind of felt like he just forgot what Shenmue was. And was like, yeah, funny voice acting. Oh, funny lines. Oh, weird funny camera angle. It didn't have that same sort of... It didn't have the passion. It didn't have the drive that was there. And then, you get to the end of Shenmue 3. You fight Lan Di. You lose because it's a forced loss. And then a new antagonist is introduced. There's no Shenmue 4. Just doesn't exist. Shenmue 3 was a Kickstarter game because no one would publish that game. Like, I think it was published by there was a Kickstarter game and it got published by EastNet. But it was, like, the Kickstarter was there to prove that people wanted it. Because no one would support Suzuki if there wasn't already existing funding. Because at this point, he's making, like, mobile game slop. And not like, good mobile game slop. Like, mobile game slop that would have been released, in, like, 2011. Just, like, random, shitty, bullshit throwaway games. Shenmue was supposed to be 6 games, I believe. 5 or 6 games. And the problem is, it was built around this idea of having effectively an infinite budget, and it needed to sell a number of games that was never going to happen. Maybe if it got that PS2 release, things would have went better. But because it didn't, I think that's what ultimately has killed things, right? Like, the game had, like, critical success, but it cost so much money that it was not a viable thing to pursue. I love the concept of Shenmue, and I'm glad I played it, because it's kind of, in many ways, it is kind of the proto-Yakuza. A lot of what Shenmue laid the ground for eventually became... It's a very different game, but eventually became what Yakuza could become. Shenmue walked so Yakuza could run. I think probably the only good thing about Shenmue 1 and 2 is the combat, and not great, but it's literally just the Virtua Fighter combat system in this game, because Suzuki, whatever, Yu Suzuki also worked on Virtua Fighter before he was kicked out of Sega for almost bankrupting the company. So I recommend you go play Shenmue if you can get it cheap, or you want to just emulate it. But yeah. Shenmue Defense Force, don't at me. And there's a group of people that desperately love Shenmue, and I want to love Shenmue, but 3 was just so rough, man. If 4 comes out, I will play it, but I will not be excited about it. Also, I do know there is a enhanced edition of 3 coming out at some point, so maybe I'll play that as well. We shall see. Well, we're running up on the 2-hour mark, so I've got a bunch of topics I just didn't touch on here, but I think a lot of this stuff I can talk about another time anyway. So, yeah. If you like the video, like the episode, go like it, go subscribe as well. If you're on mobile, click the hype button. Also, click the hype button on the clips as well, because that is cool and helpful. If you're watching the video version of this, you find the audio version of basically every podcast platform. The video is on YouTube at Tech Over Tea, also on Spotify. And I think that is going to be it for me. So, maybe I'll be streaming the PoE League start. If I am, come hang out. If I'm not, I'll be playing PoE anyway. So, that is going to be it for me. Enjoy your day, all of that good stuff. And I have some anime to watch. See you guys later.